Greetings. In this part of the discussion, after we heard and read the threat of the Lord if they worship idols, what He will do with them, and how they will perish from the land quickly. And we brought, from the book of Judges, how many times they slide back to worshiping idols. Let's continue with the book of Judges. Now they are in the land and they are worshiping idols. And we will see the punishment later on in this discussion. Let's go to the book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 7. It says, "The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They forgot the Lord their God and served the Baals." Remember the Baals? Always. This is the favorite, to the Israeli Jews. This was an idol god of the Palestinians, the Canaanites, and became the favorite god to the Israeli Jews, apart from the Lord Almighty. And the Ashtoreth, another very favorite god to the Israeli Jews. We read, before in the book of Judges, the last videos, how many times they worship Baal and Ashtoreth, the goddess of sex. The anger of the Lord burned against the Israelis, against Israel, so that He sold them into the hands of Cushan Rishathaim, king of Aram, Naharaim, to whom the Israelites were subject for 8 years. They were slaves for 8 years because they did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Something we notice in the book of Judges, every time they do evil in the eyes of the Lord, and the Lord give them to slavery to some people. They do evil in the eyes of the Lord, and they put them to slavery to some people. Evil in the eyes of the Lord. Continuous. It's so boring. It's so boring. Non-stop. It's like going in an empty circle. Round and round and round and round. So they did the evil in the eyes of the Lord, and He gave him to the hands of so and so, because they were worshipping idols. All right, 8 years. All right, verse 12 says, again the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and because they did this evil, the Lord gave Eglon, king of Moab, power over Israel, getting the Ammonites and the Amalekites to join him. Eglon came and attacked Israel, and they took possession of the city of palms. The Israelites were subject to Eglon, king of Moab, for 18 years. This started, saying what? The Israelites again did evil in the eyes of the Lord, meaning what? Worshipping idols and all of kind of rotten stuff, like they are doing today. Nothing about them is holy. Nothing about them is sacred. They are rotten. The book of Judges, chapter 4, verse 4 says, again, again the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, now that Ehud was dead, so the Lord sold them into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor, Sisera, and the commander of his army was based in Harosheth, Hagoyim, forgive me, some names, because he had 900 chariots fitted with iron, and had cruelly oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. Most of the time, we are talking about a whole nation, hundreds of thousands, who were slaves in Egypt for 400 to 430 years. And now they came to Palestine, and also in Palestine, most of the time, they were slaves. slaves, miserable slaves, and then uprooted by the Assyrians and the Babylonians to live 100 years as miserable, stupid slaves between Babylon and Persia. And then they returned to be slaves under Rome in Palestine. They were always slaves for a very long period of time, close to 1,000 years, even more. 1,000 years in Egypt only. Now we are talking hundreds of years later. Always slaves, especially in the land that they are supposed to possess forever. And that forever was never to take place. Okay, because he had 900 chariots fitted with iron and had carefully oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. They cried to the Lord for help. Judges chapter 8 verse 26 says the weight of the gold rings he asked for came to 1,700 shekels. Even shekels today, this is the currency of the Israelis. Not counting the ornaments, the pendants, and the purple garments worn by the kings of Midian, or the chains that were on their camels' necks. Gideon made the gold into an ephod. He took all this of gold, like they plundered from the Egyptians, remember, and made the calf, the cow. Now here, history repeats itself. They're going back, to making an idol from gold. They plundered from the people. Gideon made the gold into an ephod, which he placed in Ophrah, his town. All Israel, everybody, Israeli Jews, everybody, prostituted themselves by worshipping it there, and it became a snare to Gideon and his family. Idol worship, idol worship, idol worship, idol worship. The book of Judges is so full with those, testimonies. And we all remember the threat the Lord made. If you worship idols, other gods, what will happen? Quickly perish from the land. You're going to go cross the Jordan to possess. Verse 33 says, no sooner had Gideon died than the Israelites again prostituted themselves to the Baal. They left, Gideon's God now, and they go back to Baal. I told you, he's their favorite. This Canaanite, Palestinian idol, most famous idol, and Ashtoreth, remember? They set up Baal, Berith, as their God. This is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob now. And did not remember the Lord their God, who had rescued them from the hands of all their enemies on every side. They forgot completely about him. They are enjoying worshipping Baal now. Baal, the idol of the Canaanites and the Palestinians. Ashtoreth is the idol of Babylon, but it was in Palestine as well. All right. Judges chapter 10 verse 6. Again the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They served the Baal. They served the Baal and the Ashtoreth and the gods of Aram, the gods of Sidon and Lebanon, the gods of Moab, the gods of the Ammonites, and the gods of the Philistines. They have been worshipping gods from every pagan culture all around them. And that one, completely forgotten. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have a value. Worthless. The one who stood by their side the one who took him out of slavery of Egypt, the one who, who gave him heavenly food in the desert for 40 years. They forsake him. The gods of the Ammonites and the gods of the Palestinians. And because the Israelites forsook the Lord and no longer served them, he became angry with them. He sold them into the hands of the Philistines and the Ammonites, who that year shattered and crushed them for 18 years. They oppressed all of the Israelites on the east side of the Jordan in Gilead, the land of the Amorites. 18 years. Well, I tell you, I don't know when they were free. I don't remember, a period of time. The book says they were so free, living in peace, and no harm, and not slaves, stupid slaves. Imagine 430 years, and then 40 in the desert, and now continuous 18 years, 8 years, so on, always miserable slaves. Then 100 years in Babylon and Persia. Then back under Rome, slaves under Rome. They were free and liberated only when they decided to leave Palestine, or they were uprooted from the Holy Land, the land of the Philistines, Palestine. That's the only time they had freedom to live as they wish all over the world. Non-slave. Not anymore. The Lord let go. He forgot about them. Till next time.